you.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. This is an important story that I wanted to bring to you. Now, you would have read this in your newspapers or on your timelines about Mr. Varavara Rao, an 81-year-old poet who is now COVID positive in jail and has not been granted bail on humanitarian grounds yet. Now, it's important to examine every angle of this story. It's a complicated story. Now, Mr. Varavara Rao, who is a human rights activist, is a rights activist who has been in jail now since 2018. He was arrested in 2018 by the Pune police, who put out a report and accused him of taking part in a meeting or a conspiracy to assassinate the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. Now, this was linked to the Bhima Koregaon violence case, which was linked to the Elgar Parishad meeting. And the Pune police said at that point that they had access to a letter in which there was one individual who was referred to as R, and they alleged that that individual was in fact Mr. Varavara Rao. He was then arrested, and he has been in jail since then. Remember, he's over 80 years old, and his health is very frail. Now, the other thing to remember about this case that he is not convicted in the case. He's under trial, which means that the police is still investigating, and that could take any amount of time, as we know in the past. But this is what we're talking about today. Now, while the family of Mr. Varavara Rao claims that he's extremely, extremely ill, and we'll find out exactly why they believe that, they approached the courts asking for bail, interim bail, based on medical grounds. The NIA, which is the National Investigating Agency, has filed an affidavit opposing that interim bail plea, saying that he is taking undue benefit under the garb of being COVID positive and his old age to seek bail, and bail should not be granted. Now, the NIA said the bail application has to be decided on the facts and circumstances of the case and the incriminating material that they have against Rao. Now, in the conversation I'm having right now, I'm currently joined by Mr. N. Venugopal Rao. He's the nephew of Mr. Varavara Rao. Mr. Venugopal Rao, thank you for joining me. Good evening, and thank you for giving me the time. We've read in most reports that it was, there a couple of weeks ago, family members started getting concerned about Mr. Varavara Rao's health. Could you tell us why you were concerned and what led you to believe that he was unwell?
When he was arrested in August 2018, at that time he was 78. He was ailing with at least 5 or 6 different ailments: hypertension, sinus, migraine, piles, and many other things. Because of that, we were taking care, and he was actually on medication. Every day he used to take at least 6-7 tablets. And because of that, we were protecting him like a flower, because he was 78. And then he was arrested. For 2 years in Yerawada Central Jail, for 16 months in Yerawada Central Jail, he was not given treatment to any of these ailments. Jail certainly will have a hospital, quote unquote hospital, 1 or 2 doctors. They just give aspirin tablets and paracetamol tablets, and there ends the matter. And we were perturbed when we came to know on May 28th evening, Chikkadapalli police, that is the local police in Hyderabad, called us and told us that Varavara Rao is shifted to JJ Hospital. Except that one sentence, they did not give out any other information. Actually, by that time, prior to that, 2-3 months, we were going and meeting him in, my sister and my nieces were going and meeting him in Yerawada jail, and I was meeting him in court adjournments. At that time, we were seeing that his health is falling. On 28th May, we got this information, and we were so much shocked. Then they said, after 3 days, it was not, only thing is police gave only one sentence of the information, nothing more than that. But on 1st of June, he was discharged and sent back to Taloja jail. On 2nd, there was a bail hearing on age, health, and COVID-related interim bail. Because that bail hearing was coming on 2nd, he was admitted in hospital, he was discharged. In the discharge summary, they wrote that he was normal and stable, and police showed this discharge summary to refuse bail, and Sessions Court conceded and refused bail. During that time, we got the medical reports from JJ Hospital. Those reports said there was a dangerous fall in sodium and potassium levels. Electrolyte imbalance was there. When we checked with doctor friends, they told us that because of the sodium fall, confusion, loss of memory, incoherence, and things like that will appear, and brain cells start getting damaged, because that may lead to long-term complications. But on June 6th, we found out that he has been a public speaker for last 50 years. He was poet, he was a writer, he was a journalist, and he never searched for words. But in the phone calls we received in June, he started fumbling for words. He was not speaking properly. Voice was weak, and particularly 3 phone calls after this first discharge on June 24th, on July 2nd, and July 11th. Actually, on July 11th, when my sister asked, "How are you?" he, instead of answering that question, he said, "Have you attended my father's funeral?" That is, his father's funeral happened when he was 7 in 1947. My sister could not have attended that. She was not even born, but he was asking that kind of a question. That was incoherence, that was loss of memory, that was confusion. And then we thought it was this sodium damage, this sodium fall was not treated properly in JJ. He was sent back. After 40 days, he was again showing the same symptoms. So on July 12th, we held a Zoom press conference and we made it a big issue. We appealed to political class, we appealed to judiciary, we appealed to civil society. Civil society responded all over the world tremendously. Political class responded a bit. Judiciary did not respond at all. And then on 13th, he was joined in after our press conference. On 13th, he was joined in JJ Hospital. On 15th, we met him in JJ Hospital. He was very weak. He could not move on his own. He was actually lying in a pool of urine, and nobody was there to shift him. There were no ward boys. Nurses were not attending him. I did all that on 15th evening. On 16th evening, again we went to JJ Hospital to meet him. Superintendent gave us a permission letter. We took that permission letter and went upstairs. That was in 2nd floor. We just went there, and their nurses told us he was tested positive. So we could not meet. We came back to Hyderabad, and after that, we came to know that he was shifted to Nanavati, and by the time he was joined in Nanavati, he came with a head injury with sutures. He is not even now, he is in delirium, but there is no official information, either from police.
Do you know, Mr. Rao, how he came about the head injury and the sutures? How did that happen?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There is no official information either from police or from prison administration or hospital administration. We have been trying. Hospital PRO, we got in touch, and PRO said, unless the court orders, we will not be able to tell anything. So patient's family is denied of its right to know about the patient. This is the status of affairs.
Mr. Rao, you have approached the court since then and asked that he be granted bail. On what grounds have you asked for bail?
See, this interim bail, our lawyers applied on May 15th after the rejection, May 15th on health, age, and COVID vulnerability at that time. But now COVID vulnerability and possibility has become a reality. Even now on 17th was the last hearing, NIA files an affidavit in which it says Varavara Rao is taking undue advantage, undue benefit in the garb of COVID and age. Age is not a garb. COVID is not a garb. So NIA has a cheek to tell the court such utter lies, and court gave them time till 23rd to tell their opinion whether family can meet him or not. Because he is in judicial custody, it is judge's purview, it is High Court's purview. High Court can grant, High Court can allow family. Maybe because of COVID, we may be allowed from 2 meters distance or whatever. But court asked an investigation agency. In Indian jurisprudence, any investigation agency's work ends with investigation and supplying evidence. That's all. But now NIA has become a super cop.
Mr. Rao, what is your next move now? Are you likely to go to approach the Supreme Court, or are you going to wait till the 23rd?
23rd is tomorrow. Tomorrow it will come up to High Court and see what in Indian courts, when a case is being run in one court, you cannot go to upper court unless this court dissolves it. We don't know. We don't have any. That's why we are depending for the last 2 months, since May 28th. We are appealing to civil society to bring pressure on state government and central government, because he is in state government's jail and he is investigated by central government's agency.
Is your appeal right now that he be moved into hospital, or is your appeal that he be sent home?
See, because of this sodium level fall and inability of the prison administration and health administration to correct that, we are asking the government to grant him bail or send him to a Hyderabad hospital where family can supervise. Under family supervision and care, we are sure that he will recover.
Mr. Rao, the conditions under which bail is granted in our country are that, one, the nature and the severity of the accusation, which in this case can be argued is among the most severe in the country. Second is the apprehension of witness tampering and evidence tampering, and being able to cooperate with the investigation. And thirdly, whether or not the investigating agency has proven or provided any sort of viable proof to the judges that their investigation is on the right track and they have the ability to prove their charge. What grounds, based on these, what is your argument before the court, if I may ask?
Actually, V.R. Krishna Iyer, in a famous judgment in 1977, said the rule that bail is rule and jail is exception.
Yes.
In Indian jurisprudence, that is the rule. Bail is rule and jail is exception. Only when the accused has a chance to leave the country, accused has a chance to tamper with evidence, accused has a chance to avoid judicial process, then only he should not be granted bail. In Varavara Rao's case, he fought 25 cases in last 45 years. In 1973, he was first time arrested. Till 2014, 2018, he was implicated in 25 cases of all charges: murder, attempt to murder, explosions, everything. But prosecution could not prove a single charge in a single case. He was acquitted, not guilty in all the cases. He attended all through, he participated in the judicial process. So now there is no doubt that he will avoid judicial process. He will not leave the country because he doesn't have a passport and the great government denied him passport. He doesn't have a passport, he cannot go. And tampering evidence, the whole evidence or the evidence is cooked up, fabricated, but the evidence is from Maharashtra and he is going to live in Hyderabad. So how is he going to tamper with evidence and threaten witnesses? So each of the accusations, each of the allegations is a white lie being propagated by NIA.
Of the NIA is obviously still investigating this case, and obviously you will not have details, and it's not fair for me to ask you to comment, but I do want to ask you, have they in any way let the court know how much longer this investigation will take before they file their charge sheet and begin trial?
Hey, this is a very funny thing. I have to share this with your audiences. The case was actually a case of arson and rioting that happened on January 1st, 2018. Arson and rioting in Indian jurisprudence is a local case. In March, they added 120B because making it criminal conspiracy, they can include the net can be widened and include anybody. That's how Varavara was, because in Elgar Parishad meeting of the 11 accused in Bhima Koregaon case, only one was present in Elgar Parishad. 10 did not even go to Pune. They have nothing to do with the meeting. And then after 6 months, they filed a charge sheet. After the arrest of Varavara Rao, they filed 6 months after that, again they filed a supplementary charge sheet. In January, when the new Maharashtra government thought that the whole case is concocted, cooked up, fabricated, and wanted to investigate the investigators, Sharad Pawar openly in a Pune public meeting named 2 police officers who were aligned with RSS and created this case. And he said he is demanding the government to set up a special investigation team to investigate the investigators. Then NIA took up the case. So otherwise, in the normal process, the case would have been struck down, because even the powers that be in Maharashtra thought that this is a cooked up case. Then NIA took up, then NIA filed another FIR. So that means they have taken another 6 months to file a new charge sheet. That is going to be 3rd charge sheet.
But Mr. Rao, if you say that the new Maharashtra government, which is the Shiv Sena Congress NCP government, believes that these are trumped up charges, and Mr. Rao happens to be in the state jail, why is it that the JJ hospital and the Yerwada prison and the prison in Mumbai have not shown more compassion to Mr. Rao?
At least one minister of government, cabinet minister of Maharashtra government, on record tweeted that we are concerned about his health, we want to help, but NIA is tying our hands. This is what he tweeted. We are not accusing. That means NIA has become much more in this federal country than a state government.
Okay. And what is your fear right now if Mr. Rao is not granted interim bail?
We think the state wants to kill him. State is trying to kill him in jail. State wants to show that dissenters, consistent dissenters, he has been a consistent dissenter of all the public policy, government policies since 1969. So they want to give a lesson, a harsh lesson, a lethal lesson to people like Vivi. But Vivi will remain in people's hearts. And for the last 1 week, even we are surprised to see the concern and love and respect, solidarity shown across the world. That keeps him alive, even if state wants to kill him.
But Mr. Rao, that's a very serious allegation to say that the state wants to kill him. And I'm assuming by state, you mean the establishment or not the specific state government that you're referring to. But there are many, many dissenters in the country. And you have said yourself that Mr. Rao has been a dissenter from 1969 onwards, which means that there were various different governments, different parties, different heads of state who have faced the fury of his dissent. Yes. Why do you believe that at this particular time,
yes,
he's become an enemy of the state?
From 73 to 2015, various governments showed their wrath against him in terms of legally persecuting him, prosecuting him. But post 2014, Indian judiciary democracy contours have changed. Now it is not the old system, old establishment. This state is a killer state.
Well, that is the opinion of Mr. Rao, who's Mr. Varavara Rao's nephew. Now, Mr. Venugopal Rao, they're giving his personal opinion to us as he talks about why the family is concerned about the well-being of Mr. Varavara Rao, who remains in judicial custody, awaiting trial in the Elgar Parishad and the Bhima Koregaon cases. Mr. Rao, thank you for speaking with me here, and I do hope we can talk again in the future. So that's where we are at this point. For those of our audience who are asking the question, guilt or not guilt is not being brought into question, because that trial has not even begun. That investigation has not even complete. That only once the police has completed its investigation and submitted its findings to the court, but can the trial even begin. In the meantime, we're waiting for the investigation to be completed. And under these cases, if you are an under trial, you are granted bail on 3 conditions. 1, the severity of the accusation brought against you. 2, the police's ability to convince the court that they have reasonable, findings to prove that you should be investigated and you are an accused in this very serious charge. And 3, the confidence that you will not tamper with evidence or with witnesses if you are released and you are not a flight risk, because you won't leave the country. Now, the family argues that Mr. Varavara Rao actually has a fairly good case in all 3 of these conditions, besides the fact that he is elderly, he's ailing, and he is COVID positive.
And process cannot become punishment.
Yes, and process cannot become punishment. We're going to leave it there as we continue to track this case. It's also being tracked from across the world, from what I understand, because Mr. Rao is a poet, he's an intellectual, and he is a voice of dissent, not just against this government, as has been pointed out, but many governments before this, specifically the state governments of Andhra Pradesh, who have also thrown him in jail on multiple occasions for asking questions. We'll leave it there. Mr. Rao, thank you so much, Mr. Venugopal Rao, for speaking with me this evening. Thanks for watching.